Transcripts and recordings of the podcast may not be used for any purpose without the direct written permission of the podcast owner. Welcome to LITE It Up, a podcast about resilient women balancing motherhood, their careers, personal lives, and all of the challenges that come along with being a superwoman. Each week, you'll be motivated to take action to lead, inspire, transform, and empower. Now, here's your host, Dr. Aginah Musherah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of LITE It Up. I am your host, Dr. Aginah Musherah. I am so excited about this week's episode because I have a guest. And last week when I had my solo chat, I told you that I may not even be on this week. But look at how God works.
Won't he do it?
Right. I've got a guest, and today is actually the last day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But not that we should not be aware and talk about the impact of breast cancer on our community. So even though it's October 31st, we're still going to talk about breast cancer awareness, and I couldn't think of a better guest to have than my friend and sister, Evita Ali. How are you? Welcome.
Thank you. I am doing good. I am doing good today.
Good. It's been a little while since you've been on Light It Up. You've been on before talking about your journey as a breast cancer survivor. And now you have reached another milestone, which is another year of being cancer-free as a survivor. 5
Yes.
years now, right?
Yeah, it's 5 years. I still see my doctors,
Mhm.
and where I was seeing them every like 3 or 4 months. And then now each of them is, I guess they pull off it's every year, but I still see everybody all in one year. It just seems like every 6 or 5 months I'm seeing somebody, but they all spread out and they all speak to each other, and they all just trying to make sure that everything is okay with my test and whatever it is I need to do. They want to make sure I'm okay.
Okay. So, let me ask you, we could jump right into it for just in case for, somebody who is listening or viewing this episode that may not have had an opportunity to check out the first interview that we did. And I will, of course, drop that episode link actually in the notes so you can go back and take a look at it. But can you just kind of walk us through uh, your experience
Mhm.
first learned or when you were first
Okay.
diagnosed with breast cancer? I know that was in August of 2017.
Yeah. So, I had not first, let me just say this, I had not had a exam in a couple of years, and, I don't know, it was just, how you be like, everybody hates to have the exam. The year comes and goes, and then you go, "Oh, man, I need to get this exam." So, I was starting a new job and, your health insurance, and I said, "When it gets to the end of the year, let me get all my doctor's appointments in." So, luckily for me, I was able to get a Saturday, and that's like close to impossible to get. And I had gone in for an exam, a regular um, mammogram. And you go through what you do, and everybody hate, all women hate this because you go like, why y'all should come up with a better way of doing an exam. And they have you sit out in the hall, and then they call me back in, and then they hit me sit out in the hall, and still I'm like, I wish they hurry up. It's Saturday. I got a whole day to just enjoy. And it was a beautiful day because it's August. And then somebody came out and said the head doctor over, I guess, whatever department they want to call it, wanted to see you. and he came in, he said, "Okay, I wanna do an ultrasound." And he did the ultrasound, and when he was done, he sat up and he was looking at the screen, and he turned around and he was like, "We don't sugarcoat things around here. You have breast cancer." And to me, I'm still like, like, "What you talking about?" You know? So you know that when they do these exams, nobody thinks about that's what they're gonna tell you, just wanna be gone, and most times, some women, they're like, "Oh, your breasts are either lumpy or whatever," because sometimes one bigger than the other, whatever it is. So I said, "Okay," and they were gonna send my stuff immediately to my doctors because I go to Rush, and, whatever hospital you go to, your doctors can see your information if you do your exams within the hospital. And I saw that was a Saturday, I think it was hit to be Tuesday. I saw they made an appointment with me right away with my primary care doctor. And I saw my primary care doctor, and I knew when he came in and he just walked and held my hand. And I'm like, "Oh God." You tell yourself, I said, "No, this is it then."
Mhm,
That's kind of I was saying this is it.
mhm,
And he said, "Okay, I want to set you up with a doctor." And one of the main doctors that's over the oncology department, she's like the main doctor. They wanted me to set up with her, but it was
mhm,
going to be a whole nother week or so before I saw her. I was like, "Hey, whoever's in there, she's the head doctor. She's going to tell them whatever. She's going to get the information." So they got me a doctor, and I saw her. If that was Tuesday, I think I saw her Thursday, and
mm,
I was like, "That's quick." So I was seeing somebody every week from that point on,
mhm,
and even she did came in, and I had 2 of my family members with me, and we were sitting, they send, the residents in, and they talk to you and leave out. But when she came in straight like, "Okay, so the breast cancer, blah, 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 blah." And my cousins were like, "No, wait a minute, hold up. That's just too quick." So she stopped, pulled up her chair. She went through with me what they saw.
mhm,
And then she was like, "These are your choices, what you can do. And this what kind of treatment you're possibly going to have. You're going to see so many doctors. But before we do all that, let's do the what is it? Uh the MRI or the God, I can't think of my mind is slipping where they just go in and they check and then they put something for the location.
mhm,
And after they did that, they were like, "Look, we saw other things there." And I'm like, "How did you possibly see it?" Because for me, because every monthly you're supposed to check your breasts or whatever. But because I had a hysterectomy, I wasn't checking for anything because that's the furthest thing from my mind. I didn't think about still checking for your breasts. And for me, I don't I don't wanna say I'm, either slow or really didn't realize that your upper chest area here is still part of your breast. And
mhm,
that's what they found the lump higher up. And it was hard, it was like a knot, but I still like, "That's my chest." I must have bumped myself. I came up with all kind of things in my head.
mm. What
And that's
what form of breast cancer did you have?
I had triple negative breast cancer, and from what I read and found out from my doctors, it affects mostly Black and brown people, women more than it does any other women, and which is very strange every time I hear when they come up. Why does it affect certain people, not just women, but it affects Black and brown women more than it does any other woman? And you have to question, like, why that particular cancer? And because cancer is one of these things, no matter what form, some people don't really know why they get it. And I think that's the hard thing, and that's one of the things that kind of bother me the most, where I understand raising money for research, and that's great. But what about raising money to help people where they are?
Mhm,
You don't hear much about that. And I'm not saying that there's not things out there, but there's not much talk around it. And
Mhm.
so how do we help the people who are already going through something? What do we do about these people? And and it's a hard thing because everybody has, different ranges of emotions. Some people just draw within themselves, and you got people who don't have anybody.
Right.
And then I've heard all these stories of people, husbands not supporting wives,
Mhm.
family not supporting people because people don't know what to do. I've heard of people not wanting to be around somebody because it's almost like it was contagious or something. And where do you get that crazy thing from?
Now,
And it's crazy.
one of the things that you stated was that when you were diagnosed, you were trying to get all of your appointments completed before the end of the year. And I think you mentioned either you had just started a new job or
Yeah.
right. So what I mean, coupled with the fact obviously you were diagnosed with breast cancer, and then everything just started to move very quickly because
Mhm.
I presume that time, of course, is of the essence, because you
Yes.
how quickly you had all of these other follow-up appointments. During that time, what would you say, aside from, of course, getting this devastating news, what what thoughts went through your mind about the fact that you just started a new job and now you're faced with this diagnosis?
So it was one of those things where do you tell them or do you not tell them? Because I really don't have to. But I just figured that's one of the things, especially when they told me by the time you get to your second chemo session, you're going to lose your hair. And how do you come into work one day with hair and then all of a sudden you bald head and they're looking like, of course, people are going to ask questions. And what are you saying? Then you have these appointments. And when you do chemo, they try to start you early in the morning, and then you're there practically almost all day. And all day can be like a 9 to 5, right? Like that. So I went to them and I told them, and they was like, "Oh, Evita, we're so sorry to hear this. We're here for you," is what they told me.
Mhm,
And so the first 4 chemo sessions that I had, they were there, and then I went through this what chemo does to your body, so I can be up all night, right? And I'm like, I'm woke. I can't sleep. I can a lot of array of things going on. And I'm like, what do you do? And I'm trying to function at work.
mhm,
And I'm like, okay. They after it got to my 5th round, they let me go. All that I'm there for you. And they gave me these like a stack of papers to read over and get your attorney. And at that point, I wanted to say, bleep, bleep, y'all, I'm going home. Because I said, I hadn't been here long enough to even care about what any of you think. Yes, I need my job, but
mhm,
I'm tired. And I remember going in that day because that Thursday, I was having sessions on Thursdays.
mhm,
And I had my session, and I usually go to work the next day. I was like, I ain't going in the next day. I'm tired. Let me just rest and I see them Monday. So Monday is usually when I have a meeting with my managers to go over what we're going to do through the week. They were like, okay, we're going to meet at the conference room. The conference room. Like, why are we meeting in I can meet in your office. So I get up there and you had everybody. It's if I can do a movie, and then the hand over your hand and everybody's talking real low. And you know how I am. I'm like, like, come on, just come with it. I didn't have time to feel these array of emotions.
mhm,
What are you gonna do? Like, what is it? Come on. And so they let me go. I got down there, and the one thing one of the managers said to me, and I swear if I could just cuss sometime and then not have any, she's like, if there's anything we can do for you, Aginah, what my
and
job is what you can do for me.
you worked for a law firm, correct?
Yes.
Mm,
So I'm like, I can keep my job. is
Mhm.
what you can do for me. Don't say what you can do for me. That's like goofy. And it's so crazy because when I found out, one of my old managers for the previous law firm I was at for 8 years, she knew, and she knew the manager over there, like everybody kind of knows each other in certain departments across all the legal field. And it was like, "Oh, we're gonna be there for Evita." When I tell you she was mad, she was so upset with them because they had sold her a pile of stuff. Like, "Don't worry, we know she worked for you and she did this great, blah blah." It was just so now I'm without a job. I'm downstairs and I'm like, my mom had just dropped me off and she can't get her. Then she had words to say. And then she was like, "Don't worry about it. We going home. Just you got other things to worry about other than this right now."
Yeah.
So, what do you do? I just let me go home and worry about, because for me, the scariest thing for me at any point, and even though I'll fight this to the very end, is for somebody to come back and go, "Well, it's nothing else we can do for you." Because for me, all the other women in my family died that had some form of cancer. And so I'm like, please don't let this be for me.
Mhm.
And please, somebody, what is going on? What's the difference? Anything I can think of. And it's just strange because even after that, I've had cousins to pass away that got cancer over the last 3 years.
Mm.
And you're just, what was the difference? And sometimes I think about eating, what you eat, your diet is very important. That's one thing that they wanted you to know even after cancer. You
Mhm.
know, your diet, smoking, drinking, and these kind of things. And see, my cousins and some people, when you think over the years, they were smokers, they were drinkers, and that combination, and it breaks down, you know, um, your immune system,
Mhm.
and people don't realize that because they're functioning okay right now. I get up every day, I go and I do this, but you don't do no exercise, and exercise don't necessarily mean I got to go to the gym and work out and have this strenuous thing, but you don't walk, you do nothing. And our bodies, the older we get, they don't stay the same. That's why we got to stay as fit as we possibly can.
Right. Well, fast forward though, though you had to deal with the challenges of obviously trying to beat breast cancer. Now you 5 years later are a survivor. And
Yes.
um I know just recently last weekend you received an award. Can you
Yes.
all about that and what you are doing um, to help other women who have been diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yes. So there's a young lady, she's a friend of my cousin. So for some number of years now, she does a breast cancer awareness thing, and she calls it bump cancer. And she recognizes just not breast cancer, but any forms of cancer. And she's somebody who has never been diagnosed with cancer. She just felt, how do you recognize these women for surviving? And so this year was her 8th year. She was going to recognize me. I think it was like not long after I had got diagnosed, but I wasn't in town during that time of her event. So this time, I came in and she was just like, "I want to honor you, kind of tell your story. And, since it's like 8 people to a table, you invite 7 people." So I threw out 7 people I know that were closer to me to invite them to be able to come. And survivors had on pink hoodies,
Mhm.
and the guests or people who were there to help you along the way had charcoal hoodies on that had the color ribbons of all types of cancer on. So that was very nice. And she had chosen, you get to choose a theme song. So then when she introduces you, you can come up to whatever your theme song is. And I'm a house head, so
Okay. Oh my God.
And so I'm thinking to myself, and it was and she gave, I got my this
Oh,
is very nice. I thought, and it has your name on it, it's bump cancer. And so I was like, girl, where did you find this? This is such a wonderful, like, how did you even think of that? So she gave everybody, and everybody had a goodie bag. It had, I think, let me see, my t-shirt.
mhm,
I had that on there, and so that was in my bag. I, got a necklace, it got a lot of other things. I have to send you that picture, with the different things that was in the bag, and I was like, "I really appreciate it." So what I did not know is that my sister, who's the poet, had contacted her and had gone up. She had called her up,
mhm,
her and my cousin, and she read a poem
mhm,
about surviving, what they felt
mhm.
about what I was going through and have fun. And then all of a sudden, then my theme music came on, and then I was supposed to get up and I danced off. Everybody dances their way up there to the front, and we take pictures, and you get the bag. So even the guests all got goodie bags.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was very nice. We had dinner. It was really nice. And she does, so this was her 8th year doing it, and this is what she's so interesting, this money comes out of her pocket. She's not funded by anybody, it's not like the big corporations and she's getting money like that. She raises money through the year for stuff that she wants to do. She does something for Mother's Day or whatever, so I really appreciate her even thinking of all these people that she knows. She knows all these people
Mhm,
personally, and or
mhm.
she meets them through other people, and she recognizes and honor them for surviving. And the crazy thing, I turn around, I look, and I saw other people that I knew that I didn't even know had cancer. And that's because people don't talk about it,
Mhm,
and you don't know the struggle, you don't know the fight, because everybody wears this shield.
mhm.
And you have to be able to share a story to help other people, because some people are suffering in silence.
Yeah.
They suffer in silence.
What would you say as a survivor, and clearly everybody is different in terms of how they handle these types of situations, but wh- how can because I know several people who recently have been diagnosed with some form of cancer, whether it's breast cancer, bone cancer. I have friends who have loved ones who are now battling form of cancer. And as an outsider, so to speak, who's not directly impacted, clearly there's something, at least for myself, that you want to
Mhm.
try to help and support us, right?
Yes.
What how what would you say are ways in which friends, family, coworkers, what have you, can support those individuals in their lives who are battling?
Battling it. So I know, and that's interesting that you asked that question, because I remember the day I had my surgery, I had a double mastectomy. Short lady walked into my room, and she told me that she was Dr. So and so, and that she was told that they wanted me to meet with her and speak with her, because they needed me to understand what had just happened, and how I need to handle what was happening to me, and to speak to somebody. So she was a therapist. I had her for a year and met with her every week for a year. And then the only reason we still did not have one another, that bond, is because she moved. She
Mm,
moved out of but she was somebody, we were not from the same background. I do quickly realize she was not like from family like, I was, but she allowed me during the time. One thing that she said to me, she said, "What do you want your family to do?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't know what to ask them for." She said, "Well, how do you think they supposed to know if you don't tell them?" And I said, You're right. You're right." She said, "You can't get upset with people for not being there or doing something for you if you don't let them know what that is. You have to find some kind of way to let them know." And I said, "You're right." And people will ask you, "Is there anything I can do for you?" And most people be like, "No, I'm good." But you're not. You're not good. You may need somebody to pick up something from the store, or you may need somebody you don't want to cook. How do you cook? And if you don't notice that, I really just want some soup. Like I was having soup. My friend Angie, her and her husband would cook some soup and bring me the soup. They didn't stay, they just dropped it off and just wanted to make sure that I had something because one of the medications and things I was taking made my throat raw. And it
Mhm,
was hard for me to swallow and eat, but the soup helped me. So
mhm,
that was helpful. Or just somebody to come by and visit, to sit and talk to you for a little bit, or somebody it could be late at night, and where regular people see somebody's like, "Well, you can call me if you just want to talk," just anything. And I didn't necessarily always talk about the issue at the hand, but just wanted to have somebody to speak to and just be open. And so family and friends or whomever, people close to you, just you know depending on your bond you have with somebody, just say, "Hey, if you need me, I'm here. If you want anything." And even at I think sometimes at that time where they're saying, "No, I'm good," if you kind of know what they like, then just like it. I like lemonade. So somebody was bringing me lemonade. I was like, "Oh man, thank you." I It wasn't on my mind to think about asking for somebody to do that. So sometimes it's the smallest things in the world, and just to come by and sit with you for a moment, just for that moment. And we don't have to really talk about nothing, or it's or it may be if you can get out, if you have the opportunity, if that person can get out, it can, like, the summer, if it's summer, or take them to lunch or ice cream or whatever it is, coffee,
mhm,
just something to take their mind away from whatever's going on. And if they want to talk about it, is don't always think you need to have the answers
mhm.
for what they're going through.
Yeah.
Sometimes like, okay, or I had this thing like, what does that look like for you?
Mhm,
How do you feel?
mhm,
And that's one of my things today is lately in the last year, I've been like, what does that look like for you?
mhm.
So how can I help you?
Yeah,
Just let me know. And sometimes that's helpful. Then they know you the person that they can call.
yeah. And, um, the one thing that I will never do, I will never tell someone, "I know how you feel," because I don't, because it's not my experience, right?
Right.
But what I do make it a point to say is that I will say just that. I don't know how you feel, but I can only imagine
Yeah.
how you feel. How is it that I can support you? What do you need? And what do you need for me to do? And,
Mhm.
and I will say that um, because I am one who has a tendency of connecting people, maybe I need a new title. I'm the connect. Um, what do I do? I couldn't, I can't
Yeah.
help because I don't have the experience. But I've been able to reach out to you, another really good friend of mine, who also is a recent survivor, been able to connect some people, and you all have
Yeah.
been gracious enough to say, "Hey, whatever you need, whenever you need to call, feel free," or what have you. So I just want to go on record of saying I appreciate that because I know, um, you know, when I've received that news from, that impacts people that I know,
Yeah.
I immediately think of you and now my other friend, like, because you don't know what you don't know, right? You're
Right.
getting
Right.
all this news that's just coming at you. Your mind is all over the place. Of course, your emotions are all over the place. And sometimes, you can be in a situation where you hear what the doctors are saying to you, but maybe you aren't able to process exactly what they're saying, and you don't know. It's not until you get
Mm.
home, got all these thoughts, that
Yes.
the phone to call a doctor, but now you've got somebody who's walked this journey who, can maybe say, this is what's gonna happen, and what
And
happened.
you know what? It's so funny you said that. And this is something I'm feeling some kind of way about it today. And I'm normally on top of things when it comes to certain stuff like that. Like I keep numbers, have all these little sticky notes with numbers and stuff on it. I was at Lane Bryant. This older lady came in and she said, I need a stylist. I said, "Well, we're all stylists. How can I help you?" She said, "Well, I had a mastectomy and I'm trying to find a bra." And I said, "Well, we don't sell mastectomies in store, but I can help you get a bra until you can, if you want to still get a mastectomy." When I tell you I was 2 hours with this lady, and the way I probably had told y'all my plastic surgeon. And then so you have a plastic surgery. Well, I had it because I was getting implants. But
Mhm,
then you have an oncologist that does the chemo, and then you have one that does radiation, and then you have one who does your surgery.
mhm,
And so the two of them together that did my surgery, when I tell you, I tell them I love them. People can call me crazy because I've seen some doctors cut people in such a way that is horrific. And I'm like, I am blessed. I am so blessed in that I don't have these horrible scars on my body.
mhm.
And this lady showed me her scars, and I was immediately upset. And she was like, "I've been crying. It's been a year." And you know how sometimes some doctors can handle older people thinking, they don't know. She never even offered her an implant.
Oh, wow.
Never. So she has nothing there, and then she has one, and they usually try to fix you
Mhm.
to make them symmetric, right? No, they did not. And she's in this room. We're in the fitting room. She's crying because she didn't know if she wanted to show me because I'm trying to size her.
Right.
And I hugged her. And I said, "Okay." And then I start acting like a mom, Aginah, because when she told me what hospital doctor, I said, "You want me to go to the doctor with you next time? Give me your number." And I started doing that. So she gave me a number. She's like, "I have nobody." The person that was in my life left me and said, "I can't deal with this with you." Left. So she said, "I don't have any family. I have no one. No one was with me through all of this." And that's hurtful because for me, my first one, I hit about 12 people there. And I've always had somebody at every chemo session. I had so many people come see me after my surgery. So I felt blessed that I had these people, but there are some people I wanted my family to share with some of the people who was in the area who didn't have anybody sitting with them. And it just felt kind of painful because I'm like, how are you so blessed? How are you blessed to have people who care? And I think that's some of the care too in making it through, that you have people, friends and family who love you enough to just they want to see you, they want to see you make it. They want to see the amount of care. And it was such a thing that there are a lot of people who just don't get that. And so when you want to share your story, and the good thing with because my friend Angie, the same thing. I was diagnosed, she had two other friends diagnosed same time. We all three of us
Mhm,
at some
mhm.
point. But she said, you share, you talk about it. And my cousin D, she had a friend. She said, "I'm just gonna let you know, your team of doctors." I went to the doctors with some of my friends too. They don't have a team of doctors like you. The way they took care of you and pushed you through and went through. She said they don't have that kind of care given to them. So that's why I say I feel blessed and I don't mind sharing and talking people through things because you have to have somebody there with you. And I always had somebody in my doctor because of course when you listen and you like duh duh, and I would ask the same question even after they go. I say, I am so sorry. What did you just say again?
Mhm.
Because I'm like, I didn't know if I was getting it right.
Mhm.
And sometimes you leave the doctor's office, you get your after summary, and that's how you remind you. But hearing it, you
Mhm.
can write whatever down, but I needed to hear it.
Right. Right.
And I was lucky they gave me right before the surgery and everything, they gave me this booklet right
Mhm.
before chemo. It had everything in it. It had what kind of chemo I was getting, when I was going to get it, the medications that I was going to get, the name. Everything was in this booklet. And I keep it. I got a bin that I have that everything I got during that time, even whatever the medication is, some that right after chemo I would have to have. They got a commercial for it. I can't even think of that you put on. I kept those. I kept it wrapped in the band that they had given to me, and I put in it. I have everything there as a reminder of this is what I went through. And you go through it, and you sometimes you don't believe it. I don't even know who is that person that went through all of this. And I'm not that old Evita anymore. I'm a new Evita, and you just have to live accordingly. This new life of yours, because every day you have to still fight to survive. Because they tell you it can come back, and you be like, "What the hell are you talking about? It can come back,"
Mhm.
and you don't want to hear that. And it has happened to people,
Mhm.
and I just that's just something I fight with.
Mhm.
In your head, you thinking like, "Oh," you wanna do everything right, so when I feel down, I have to say, what do they wanna call it? Is the right word, endorphins, stuff that you feel it in your head and you feel low, and I'm like, "Uh-uh, no, 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 no," because I don't want whatever that is to go through my body and to break it down so that, you know, "Get up, girl, do something." Like, I tell myself this summer, I had my bike, "Girl, get your get up. Get
Mhm.
up and get on your bike and do something because you can't lay there and feel sorry."
Right. So, one note that I kind of want to end on is when you think about when you were diagnosed 5 years ago, I'm sure that the question that you asked was, why me? So 5 years later, as a survivor, what are your thoughts? Like, do you do you still ask that question of why me, or do
Mhm.
you have a different perspective?
So, 2 things on that. People had it sound, "Why not you?" I
Mm,
said so somebody said that to me. I said, "No, really, why me?" And I'm not one of those people go, "Well, why not you?" Because, God never places anything on you that you can. I was like, "Look, you carry that.
mm,
That is not me." And because it changed my life so that I think about it and I don't think I've really cried. There are moments where I feel like I want to bawl out and I do kind of cry. It's like a silent cry, but I really want to scream because this is when you change your life. I thought, this job I had, everything was going, I'm like, oh, it's about to kick off. This the job I was looking for. I got it. This about to be good. This is about to do what I need to do. And you fight every day trying to stabilize yourself and get back to what you thought you were doing. Good. And then again, so I was born with something called neurofibromatosis. And people may physically see it, I have different bumps or what they call fibromas, in my body. And I've gotten more as I've gotten older than I did when I was younger. and that was the reason why I developed breast cancer.
Oh,
So they do a symposium every year, and the last one that I went to, they brought that up,
mm,
that they had started noticing women getting breast cancer from the disease, and it's not a cure for it. And I said, ain't this about a killer? You say to yourself, like, geez. So that's the reason why, because I did that what's the name of the test? Um
you had a genetic, any type of genetic.
so I did that, and so that's why I was telling people when, the actress did it, and she was like, "Hey, I'm moving my breast. This not happening." People like, "That's stupid." No, for you, you think that's stupid, but when they people don't wanna believe doctors, and they always want they just, they playing with you. I'm like, "Yeah, you go with that one." But these things are happening, and they happen because of this, and this. I know I'm not a conspiracy theorist when it comes to the medical field on certain things. So if they do a test and that came up, and then they test that to find out that that's not a conspiracy theory, it happens for a reason. So that's how I found out. But still, I'm like, why? Wow, it's me. But then I think about, like, if it was my sister, if it was something, oh no, she wouldn't have made it. I know right now she get a cold and want to break down and play. It's almost she almost do victim.
Mm,
I can't move, I can't do this. Somebody and I said, oh, she wouldn't have made it. We'd have just been like, girl, get up, get up, get up. We'd have had to really push, 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 push for her. But I just felt like um I thought more of my family than I did of me.
uh,
I thought more of my friends and family than I did of me, because I said, "Oh, man, if this happened to me, how they go on?"
oh, oh,
Because as we know, we've all had that somebody in our life, something has happened and things changed.
right.
Have
Yeah.
that it's a new whatever, and you go, wow. So if my grandmother passed at 10 when I was 10 years old,
Mhm.
and I'm still think about her, I am 54. I'm like, man, what would life I think to myself, what would life would have been if she'd have still been here? So we can't say that somebody who left our, life, or they passed on and it didn't change our life.
Right.
It did. So, I think about how could they'd have moved on after a while, but it would have been cancer got another, family member.
Right.
And we know that now because they got two more of my family members just within the last 3 years, 3 or 4 years.
Mhm. Wow. Well, Evita, I'm gonna say that yes, it is true. You are a fighter. If anybody knows you, they know. Don't play with Evita Buttons Ali.
I said, they don't call me Ali for nothing, right?
Right. No, but
Yeah,
I
that's all jokes aside. Yeah.
mean, hey, you gotta laugh to keep from crying, and so I'm glad that we
Yeah.
can actually laugh about this today.
Yeah.
Um, I wanna make sure that, of course, you know that, um, you always have a platform here to talk about things that you're doing, related to breast cancer awareness as a survivor. So, you're always welcome to come back as a
Thank
guest
you.
and light it up. But I do thank you for uh, taking time to uh, recap folks on your journey and also impart some words of wisdom for those of us who may need to support uh, a loved one or a friend who is currently undergoing the battle
Yes.
of fighting this deadly disease. So thank you. Really appreciate you. So,
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
all right. And so for those of you who were able to stick around and listen and view this episode, make sure you share this episode with someone that you believe can benefit uh, from Evita's story. So, as always, thank you for tuning in every week to Light It Up. Make sure you join me next week to see if I have an interesting guest or if it's a solo chat. Uh, Forward to seeing you on the other side next week. So until next time, remember to continue to light it up and shine bright like a diamond. Thanks for joining me this week on Light It Up. Make sure you visit my website at www.lightituppodcast.com or www.aginahmuhammad.com. You can also find me on social media using the handle at Light It Up Podcast. If you like what you've heard, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, I'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or you can simply tell a friend about the show. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for a new episode. Until next time, light it up and shine bright like a diamond.